Hey, I'm Hilary Saxton and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm talking about decisions and why you don't make them and the impact that that has on your life and how you can get better at making decisions, because not making a decision is making a decision not to make a decision. So it either means yes or no in some way. So let's jump in and unpack it. Hey, Hilary, and today decision making. Why don't you make decisions? Why do you put it off? Why do you leave it? Okay, let's look at the impact of leaving a decision. It causes unclosed loops in your mind that are constantly there. If you are thinking about something, it's playing on your mind. It will be similar to, in the background, having music playing that's slightly irritating, but you can't find where it's coming from. That's what happens when you don't make a decision. So we have to make decisions and get better at it, because it makes our life so much easier. And once we've made a decision to do something and follow through with that, our brain does everything it can to make things right. So you're going to be making the right decision. Just learn to make them. So why don't we make them? Mostly because we're afraid of making a mistake. What if we get it wrong? I talk to so many people a day who want to know if what we offer as a product, if what we do is right for them. And I'm very honest with people. I either think to myself, it's actually not right, or I think this is absolutely right for you. You should go ahead with this. And it's crazy how many people say, I will get back to you. Normally, they're so excited when I talk to them on the phone and they go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm even talking to you, because we have another podcast, which was very popular. So people know my voice. And they get so excited, and then they don't want to talk to me when they've made the decision that they can't make a decision. Crazy. But they're just afraid of failing. What if they get it wrong? What will people think? What if they don't follow through? What if this becomes another one of those times where it's another situation where they're just not doing what they've said they're going to do, and they've wasted money? What if it is that? Well, that can be a habit. Not making a decision because you're worried about failing can be a habit. And if we look at the personalities, oh gosh, here I go straight into them. Who's more likely to make a decision faster out of the four personalities? Generally, the captain. Done. They'll make a decision because they are really on a mission. They know what they want and they'll go and do it. Not often a captain will not make a decision. I'm a captain. I'm a fast decision maker. But I know myself personally, when I struggle, which we'll get back to, one of the reasons I'm going to get to, when I struggle with a decision is because I've hit a hurdle and I don't understand something. And if I don't understand something, I end up pushing it to the side and not doing anything. And if you're like that, just be aware that that's you. So we're talking about the fear of failure, and we'll look at the next personality, the clown, the person who's all about the fun. Why would they not make a decision? Why would they leave it? Mostly because they get distracted and, yep, I'm going to make that decision, and then other stuff comes up, which they consider to be a little bit more important, and maybe it's not. But the distraction is easier for them to use as a reason not to make that decision and not having to worry about failing than making the decision and just getting it over with and closing the loop. So remember, we make a decision, we close a loop in our head. When it's not made, it distracts us and it keeps asking us a question. Should I do that thing? Should I do that thing? Should I do that thing? It's running in the background like some noisy music that we can't quite find in the house somewhere. So the clown's more likely to be distracted and start doing other things so they don't have to make the decision. What about the counselor? The counselor, which is, you might see them as the nice person, the calm person, the other person everybody talks to, that more people are counsellors. So they talk generally slower and they are quite considered. But the counsellor won't make a decision because they don't like making decisions. What if it affects somebody else? That's their biggest problem. What if this affects somebody else? But they're also, of the four personality types, the counsellor is the most indecisive. So if you find yourself, if you know you're a counsellor, that's your personality profile, then just be aware that that is something that will trip you up. And these are just things we can overcome. We can overcome being indecisive, and you can choose to become decisive. And then lastly, the conductor, the person who's all about the detail. What would their fear be? They like to have all of the details. They need to know absolutely everything. And if anything, they get caught in analysis paralysis. But their fear would be that they don't have enough information. that they need to absolutely analyze everything to the point where it's just gone too far and they won't take an action at all, won't make a decision. So maybe if you have a fear, if the decision that you're not making right now is around a fear, have a think, what personality am I? Because that might help you to understand a little bit more about you and think, okay, well, I'm a captain. I'm a straight shooter. I'm always on a mission. I know what I'm doing. So I'm not making this decision because there's something I don't understand. If you're the clown and you're not making a decision because of fear, it could be you'll just start distracting yourself and not wanting to make it and prioritizing other things over the top. And usually the things are very low priority, but it doesn't matter. Just be aware that that's you. And if you're the counselor, realize that you are an indecisive person and it's something you need to work on. It is actually one of your negative traits is being indecisive. And then lastly, if you're a conductor and you want the detail, just don't get caught up with needing absolutely everything and using that as your excuse to not being able to move forward. So you can move forward. So the whole four of those personalities, and it doesn't even matter whoever you are, we get into habits and we have traits that stop us. So be aware of your indecisiveness. Okay, so that's the first one, that fear of failure. And what would others think? Do you know what? What will they think when you do succeed? That's something you need to think about. And does it matter what people think? Doesn't it really matter what you think and the people whose lives that you're impacting? So if you're not making a decision, what's the reason why? Is it a fear? And then realize that fear is just false evidence appearing real. Your fear is probably not even valid. Okay, let's look at another reason that people don't make decisions. And remember, this decision could be to purchase something. This decision could be to do something about your health. This decision could be to meet somebody or, improve a relationship. This decision could be to do something for yourself. It could be absolutely anything. And the thing with decisions, it starts with first thing in the morning. When we get out of bed every day and we go to the wardrobe and choose what we're going to wear, or what will I have for breakfast today, or how will I go to work, or however this unpacks for you, however your life is, you are faced with thousands of decisions every day. And just know that there is a thing called decision fatigue, and we run out of decision-making capability late as the day goes on. There was a very big study done on judges and letting criminals out of jail on parole. And the people that were going up against the parole committee, the judges, in the mornings were more likely to get parole than those in the afternoons. It was a big study, and that's what happened. So we're able to make decisions easier and faster in the morning. So if you do have a big decision to make, there's a thing called parking. And in my head, I'll park that and I'll do that then. Because if you have too many tasks, or maybe you've got too many decisions, you could give yourself a deadline. I'll make that decision tomorrow morning because I know I won't have decision fatigue. So we park that decision to be made at a later date. Parking's a great tool to use for anything. Park it for a later date and then get back to it tomorrow and do it in the morning when you're less likely to have decision fatigue. Why do people like Steve Jobs, and there are plenty of people, I can't even think of them right now because I'm podcasting, so of course I'm not going to think of it when I need it. But why do people who have been incredibly successful often wear the same clothes over and over and over? It's because they don't have to make that decision. They know that they wear X and X every day, or that on a Monday, or that on a Tuesday. They know exactly what they're doing and what they're wearing. They eliminate decisions. So the more basic decisions you can eliminate, the more space and energy you leave for your brain to make the bigger decisions. So be aware of decision fatigue. If you have a big one, make it in the morning. Why do I love podcasting in the morning? My brain is fresh. It's just so much easier for me to do a podcast in the morning than it is later in the day. Podcast later in the day, oh my goodness, for me are such hard work and my brain's fried. This is done. It's had to do too much. It's had to make way too many decisions. So just be aware of the energy that your brain uses and be conscious. If you've got a big decision to make, park it, give it a deadline, and make it in the morning, and it will make it so much easier. Another thing I want to talk about with making decisions is I alluded to in my first example of fear, but the habit of being indecisive. The habit of being indecisive. And you could do yourself a favor right now, and if you've got children or friends around you that are indecisive, just let them know that the more often we make a decision, even those little tiny ones, that more often we make those. Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of coffee? Oh, whatever you're having. Make a decision. Get your brain used to making decisions. It's a muscle. So just get into the habit of, when somebody asks you a question, the habit will be of answering it. Would you like X? I will or I won't. Get in the habit of not just going with the flow or not making a decision because it's easier, and get in the habit of making decisions. Okay, the next reason we don't like to make decisions is the fear of loss. And I'm not talking about failure, the fear of loss. We're going to lose something. And if we took this one to, let's just say, weight or health. We want to start going to the gym to feel better. But there's that fear that we're having to lose something. If I get out of bed and do it in the morning, I'm going to lose sleep. If I become more healthy, I'm going to potentially lose friends. There could be, say you wanted to give up drinking, you're going to lose those friends. I remember when I used to smoke cigarettes, oh my gosh, don't even tell people. But I remember that you'd be somewhere and all of the smokers used to have to go outside, and you met a lot of people. It was a fun environment. And there was that sense of loss when I gave up. The gain was my health, obviously. And I feel so much better from not smoking and look better and, smell better and all of those things. But there was a small loss there. And so a fear of loss can come from anything, something as crazy as giving up smoking. The gain was so much better, but there was a fear of loss. And we have that, especially people who want to start going to the gym or be more healthy and change their lifestyle, change their eating. Well, I'm going to lose eating the foods that I love. I'm going to lose the sleep I'm going to get. I'm going to lose time. I'm not going to go into like it. I'm going to lose happiness. There are lots of things. So if this applies to you, you've got to remember that there is so much that you're going to gain, and flip and reframe what you will gain, because it is instinctive that human beings will avoid loss more than we will attract gain. So we err on the side of avoiding loss, right? And there have been huge studies on this. So we would prefer not to lose something than to gain something. So all of you who have made changes, for those of you who are doing something and made a step forward, my sister decided to change the way she was eating. And she said, I don't know what it is, Hilary, but every day, numerous times a day, she just goes, okay, press the reset button and start again. And she reminds herself to press the reset button. She gets out of bed first thing in the morning and says, okay, press the reset button, draw a line in the sand. I think she says that as well. This is all in my book, 3 ones. Press the reset button, draw a line in the sand and step over it and start again. And she's resetting her brain to do that, to remind herself of what she is gaining. That she's gaining feeling better because she's exercising, and the exercising for her is going for a walk and being outside. She lives on a farm, and just feeling better and giving up the food that she loved. She's loved food all of her life, but giving up the foods that aren't really doing anything for her health. So if you could apply that to somewhere in your life where you're being indecisive, what are you afraid of giving up? What do you think you're going to miss? And then ask yourself, what will you gain? Write down what you will gain. Have a think. What will the things be that you will gain if you do that thing? More recently, I've been really working on just being more structured with my creative work, because this is creative work. The content that I deliver takes creativity, and I have to think about it. And I spend time doing that. But I really have to make sure that I do it at a certain time of day. So I've had to change the way I structure my day to be able to do it. Okay, now I'm going to cover the information one. And this is often a biggie. We don't make decisions because we don't know enough. And we need to collate more to take the next step. I seriously, right now, in my inbox, in my email inbox, I have 3 emails that are a little bit over me. They're above my pay grade. They are things that I don't quite understand, and I haven't dealt with them, and I need to. I absolutely need to. One is it's an accounting thing, one of them, and I'm so stuck on it. I need to unpack it with my partner and get him to explain it to me. A depreciation schedule on a change of ownership. I'm in the property development game. There's something I'm not quite sure of. So I've parked it and I haven't gone back to it because I don't have enough information in my head, and I don't even quite know where to go to find it. But the answer is to ask my partner, because he knows. And he said to me the other day, we were talking about it, and I said, I'm a little bit stuck there. And he goes, oh, well, we just need to sit down and have a meeting and decide on it. So that's kind of definitely one of those, I need more information to make the decision, because I have to sign something and send it back and whatever that is. And I have to answer a question, yes or no, which applies to me tax-wise. And I'm just, so lost. It was so confusing. But I was unsure. So I need more information to move forward. So I have a few of those. So you ask yourself, where do you need information that you can move forward with? So I suppose what I really want you to think to yourself is, what decision do you need to make? What change do you need in your life? What are you resisting making a decision on? What is the thing that you want that you're not moving toward? And what decision do you need to make it happen? That is the goal. What decision do you need to make that happen? And then ask yourself the question, what information is missing from it, which is holding you up from taking the action? What information are you missing? And write it down. So we've got a few solutions. We've got write down the things that you're going to lose versus the things you'll gain. We've got write down, have a think about what information you're missing, so you know what you need to find out. Have a think about which personality type are you, which you're more prone to being like, and just have an awareness of who you are. And that is, something that I bring up all the time, absolutely knowing who you are, your good bits and your bad bits. You've got fabulous bits, I know. And you'll have those bits that don't work for you. Be aware of the things that trip you up. Be aware of the things that trip you up. Are they that you're indecisive? Are they that you always need more information? Are they that you get analysis paralysis? Are they that you become distracted? So just be aware of all of these traits and make the decision to move forward. Make the decision to move forward. Okay, something else that's really important is the story that you're telling yourself. Because as human beings, we are wired with stories. Remember, we're born like an empty library. Our brain is empty. And we start putting stories in there from things that happen to us. So it could be you touch an element when you're a small child and you get a burned hand, then you'll never touch that again because you've got a re-story there that when you touch elements, you're going to get burnt. And then there are great stories as well. It's, your nana, every time you see her, she gives you a big hug. And, from there forward, you know that you love and you can trust nana. So there are stories that happen along the way, but there are subliminal stories. You might be brought up around a family who are always complaining about having no money. Whether they have it or not, they complain about having none. Or they may not have a lot of money, or they may have a lot of money. That gives you a story around money that you begin to believe. So there are stories in your life that you believe. You might have friends, and think about this one. I find this one very interesting. You have a friend and something devastating's happened, and they say, "Oh, I was really upset." So if I was upset, I would say, "Oh, yeah, I was a little bit annoyed about that, or I was upset." But I have some people in my world, and they go, "Oh my God, I was just so upset," and then I just cried for ages, and they just go on and on and on and on about that. And I think to myself, yeah, okay, you were upset. So, and then my brain just goes to, so how do we fix it? What's the solution? What do we do next? What has to happen? But there are some people that dwell on that. But that's a story from the past. That's something they put into their library. Often that one is, I get attention when I am sad. I get attention if I hurt myself. I get attention when something bad's happened to me, because when they were a small child, something bad happened. Mum and dad ran to them and gave them a lot of attention, and that became a story that they put in their library that is about them. We've got thousands of stories, and most of them happen before the age of 7. You know that saying? Give me, they say a man, but give me a child before the age of 7 and I will show you the man. That means the stories that most of us run with, we have heard as a small child, and we have put them into our library, and we believe them to be true. We believe them to be true. So if we're indecisive, to rewrite stories, we need to rewrite them. We need to discard things that aren't true, because whatever it is, whatever your story is, say it is that whole, if I whinge about or go on and on and on about how devastated I am or whatever, if we do that and then we get lots of attention, and that's how our way of getting attention, we can actually learn that that's not a way that we need to get attention. Most people find that quite frustrating. We've all got those people in our world. It's like, okay, I get it. Stop it. I know a family that had 3 children. One of the eldest child cried to get attention, always cried. He cried until it was a teenager. He would cry and very easy for the most smallest things. The next one was noisy. She made so much noise. So that was her way of getting attention. And the last one was naughty. Oh my goodness, he was naughty. It was a naughty boy. But those were their ways in their family of getting attention. And believe it or not, they go right through to adult life. We take them right through with us. So ask yourself, what story are you telling you for the reason that you're not making the decision? I will fail because if I do that, this will happen because this always happens to me, because there will be reasons that you're telling yourself that you believe to be true as to why you can't do the thing you want to do, as to why you won't make the decision that you will go ahead and do it. So let's have a look. You have a look at the stories that you're telling yourself. My story is that I'm too busy and I don't have time. But the crazy thing is, if I really wanted to do it, I would make the time. But that is the story that I tell myself because I'm a busy person. Whatever. That's just my story. But I need to ask myself, why am I resisting it? So that's my excuse. My story is I'm too busy. But then I've got to look into, why am I resisting that, Hilary? Why are you not doing that? And you ask yourself the same question. What is the thing you really want in life? What do you want to achieve? And why are you not doing it? And what story is holding you back? What are you believing to be true that is not true? Because trust me, there will be a story in there that is not true. So how do we work around those stories? You need to ask yourself the question, I can't because. This is the coaching question of the year. I can't because. So ask yourself, what am I not achieving that I want? Why am I making the decision to move forward on the thing that I want? And then ask yourself and write it down. I can't because. And let's use mine. Okay, so I need to finally create the online course that goes with my book, 3 Wines In, how to increase your confidence, how to move forward in life and achieve what you want. And I've got most of it done. I'm just not recording it. Why? I can't because. I'm going to go with that. I can't because I don't have time. Why don't you have time, Hilary? Just keep saying why. I don't have time because I have too much on my plate. But why do you have too much on your plate, Hilary? I have too much on my plate because I take too much on. But why do you take too much on, Hilary? Like, if I keep going through that and asking myself, why is that? And I start with I can't because, I will get to the story that's behind that. And it's probably, even just thinking about it now for me, it's probably a fear of failure. What if I don't like it? What if people don't like it? What if people judge me? And that is my fear. If I went right down and keep going, and that is the reason I'm not making the decision to actually get started and get it done. So you could do the same thing for yourself. And the crazy thing is, I've made online courses before. We have them within our business. So it's not that I don't know how to do it, because I definitely know how. It's something very easy for me to do. I'm just afraid that people won't like it. Whoa. So you will have the same thing. You'll have a problem that you're using, which is coming from a story that's stopping you from moving forward. So there are plenty of other reasons we don't make decisions, but I've just covered off on a few, and I want you to zoom out on your life, like zoom out and have a look at where you are in life right now. Have a look and think, okay, this is where I am. This is what I want. What decision do I need to make today so I can start moving toward it? There is another tip here, and it's part of my CBA, Clarity, Belief, Action. The clarity is what you want, but then you have to chunk down the moves. So decide that you want something, but if you can't make the decision, try and make the decision smaller. So maybe you're on track to do something and you're stuck. You're stuck because of that lack of knowledge or that lack of confidence. Because confidence, when overcome, leaves us with a good feeling. When we start taking actions toward things that we're afraid of initially, we actually feel amazing. Confidence is something that makes us feel good versus courage. Courage to do the thing that we're avoiding, that, we haven't made the decision to do, like me, filming the online course. That takes courage, but courage doesn't feel good to us because it just doesn't feel good. We're having to do something we don't want to. Because remember, I'm facing that fear, that story, the decision. The reason I'm not making the decision is because I don't think that what if people don't like it? So if I go down that road, what if people don't like it? Then to overcome that, I have to be courageous. I have to show courage. Because trust me, I have the confidence. I'm sitting here right now in front of a camera. It's not something I'm afraid that I can't do. It's not a whole new skill I need to learn. I need the courage to move forward, and I need to make that decision. So if we break that down, what do I need to do next? And I want you to apply this to your life. What do you need to do? And that thing that you're avoiding is make it so small that it's easy. Make it very, very tiny. So I already know what I'm going to do. I am going to get out the notes that I've started for creating it and look through them and make sure I'm happy with the outline structure. So that's going to be my first move. So let's apply that to you. Let's apply that to your life. What is it that you need to do first? First of all, we need to make that decision. And really, if we think about the decision, helps with the clarity. We've made that decision. We know now. We're clear on what we want instead of being in that, oh, shouldn't I? What am I going to do? Am I going to go on holiday? Am I going to not go on holiday? Am I going to go home for Christmas? Am I not going to go home for Christmas? Am I going to, there's some people that live away, obviously I live away from people. Am I going to do this or do that? Start getting in the habit of making decisions. Close off those loops that distract us from everyday life, and you'll feel so much better. You'll also achieve a lot more. So I hope you find this week's podcast useful, and I will catch you again next week. Bye for now.